Hi, everyone. Welcome to Coasters and Community, the podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Johnston, and we're talking how to build a brand in the theme park community. Each week, we hear from influencers, planners, vloggers, bloggers, journalists, each as they share their own experience about building their brand within this community. Today we have special guest Katie Smith. You may know her as FairyGodKatie on Instagram. She's been in the community for a number of years and focuses her brand on providing runDisney content. So let's bring her in. Welcome, Katie.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm super pumped to be here.
So as always, to kind of frame the conversation, I want to explore how you got from Katie with an interest in theme parks to FairyGodKatie and kind of what it means to sort of live this brand, live this role in the theme park community. Let's just start with some rapid fire, just fun questions. Is that okay?
Sounds great to me.
All right. Favorite theme park?
Epcot.
Least favorite theme park?
Animal Kingdom.
Favorite attraction?
Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout California Adventure.
Probably guess what I'm about to ask now. Your least favorite attraction?
Oh, Ratatouille.
What attraction would you bring back if you could?
The Great Movie Ride.
Which do you prefer, entertainment or rides?
Entertainment.
Dark rides or roller coasters?
Dark rides.
Let's get into what I call kind of our prequel segment.
Okay.
So how did you first become interested in theme parks?
Oh gosh. So my family never liked going to the beach. My dad was an outdoorsman who would rather be out in the woods. And so my parents honeymooned at the Great Smoky Mountains. And when they had me, they took me on my first vacation to Gatlinburg and we went to Dollywood. And I just grew up going to Dollywood, loved it. Did not go to Disney World until I was 13. My mom didn't know a whole lot about it. We went down there thinking it was one theme park, and there were definitely three. We were overwhelmed. And so when I was 16, we decided to go back, and my mom went to Books A Million, got a planning book, and handed it to me and said, have fun. So I fell in love with theme parks really as an later teen, like 16, 17, and just kind of went head over heels over the planning process after that.
So favorite theme park memory or kind of experience growing up?
Yeah, so one Christmas, we were leaving Christmas in the Smokies at the Celebrity Theater. It was back the original version of Christmas in the Smokies. But we walked out of the theater and it was snowing. And it just felt like you were in a snow globe with all the Christmas lights and the Christmas trees. And we had just left the show that I loved. So when I think about my favorite memory from a theme park, it is 100% that Christmas at Dollywood leaving Christmas in the Smokies.
Cool. So before FairyGodKatie, did you have a lot of interaction with the theme park community online?
Not really. So I just had a regular Instagram. It was L. Catherine Smith. It matched my Gmail. And in 2013, I decided I wanted to run my first Disney race. And back then, the theme park community didn't have a whole lot in social media. It was a lot on blogs. And so I scoured the internet for blogs, trying to learn as much as I could about runDisney and the Princess Half Marathon. And a lot of the bloggers that I followed ended up, when Instagram started becoming quote unquote a thing, started transitioning over to Instagram. And so I followed all of my favorite bloggers on Instagram. And then I don't have nieces or nephews. I have my best friend's kids. They in the South, everybody's got a fake auntie. So I told them that I was going to be FairyGodKatie. Like that was, instead of them having to call me Aunt Katie and making one of their real aunts mad. And so it just kind of transitioned over to my Instagram account. And so it actually, I think, helped me meet some new people because L. Catherine Smith is a lot of words and a lot of syllables in one title. And FairyGodKatie, it was easy to introduce myself to people at the expo and at race corrals and be like, hey, I follow you on Instagram. I'm FairyGodKatie. And it's actually helped me meet new people.
Cool. So it was really runDisney that kind of gave birth to FairyGodKatie out of necessity.
Yeah. So I had started to, meet people. And there was one race weekend where I didn't get to go to Princess, and I was following the stories. So people will story when they're at mile 1, mile 2, mile 3. And I went to Disneyland with a friend. And while I was there, I was like, I've met some people and some of my Instagram friends have become real life friends, just through the interaction and talking to them and everything. And I was like, I think I need to make this easier. I feel like I go by Katie. People know me as Katie. But you don't want your Instagram handle to just be Katie. So that's kind of how that morphed into that. And Run Disney kind of came back with like a full force after COVID. Like, I mean, the races were selling out super quick and super fast. And a lot of those people that I had met were like, they were going to the race expos. And so it really just helped me to be able to like, hey, I've liked a lot of your posts, FairyGodKatie. And so I think it's helped me meet some new people and make friends.
So for you, it wasn't really a trial and error kind of thing. It was just more organic.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just kind of how I've been. And I worked at a travel agency for a while, and I told people, I was like, you can call me FairyGodKatie, because that's what my nieces and nephews call me. So it never was really something that was trial and error. It was just like, this is a part of who I am. And so my Instagram is really more lifestyle.
So FairyGodKatie's created. What was the goal at the time? Was it really just to engage?
Yeah, so with the Run Disney community, you get a lot of your information from other creators and other social media people. So I wanted as much information that I could have so that I could do these races successfully. I'm not an athlete, like by any stretch. So getting tips from these people who have been doing these races and who have done challenges and learning what hotels they liked and what resorts they like to stay at was really my goal getting into all of this. And then I lost my dad in November of 2020. And I posted about that on my social media page. Well, there was also this little pocket, this random pocket of people who were also in the Run Disney community who had lost. This one girl had lost her mom. There was another one who had lost two babies, very prematurely in her pregnancy. There was another one who had lost their dad. And it created this kind of weird, I call it my weird Run Disney grief group, because I had met these people in this real surface level topic, but because we had in this other thing outside of that, we connected with that too. So I had these like deeper relationships because of going through that life experience. So my brand is really just organically me, but also information gathering about this topic that I'm just obsessed with, which is Run Disney.
So on that note, tell us a little bit about Run Disney, just so we have some context of what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. So Run Disney is actually part of and I'm probably going to butcher this, but the ESPN Wild World of Sports, that whole umbrella. It started with the marathon. They had a marathon at Disney World, and they were begging people to come, and they gave out free tickets if you would do it. And I think the cost was like $25. I mean, it was brand new, really kind of thing. And then it kind of evolved. The Run Disney season actually starts in November with Wine and Dine. Then you have the Walt Disney World Marathon weekend. Now, it is the marathon weekend, but there are also other races in that weekend. So there's a 5K, a 10K, a half, and a full. Then you have this year, they're finally bringing back the Disneyland half marathon weekend, and that will be the second weekend in January. And then you finish up the season with Princess Weekend, which is my personal favorite, the last weekend in February, and then Springtime Surprise. That's in April. That's what the weekend encompasses as far as like in-person races. But then Run Disney also has a lot of virtual events too.
Yeah, and I'm sort of familiar, but not near to the degree that you are. So that's interesting to hear. So let's talk a little bit about the content that you publish as FairyGodKatie. So
Sure.
First, how often do you publish?
Whenever the mood strikes. So it's one of those things where like, so I have a friend who she got a lot more followers than I do, and she's got a very regimented posting schedule. And mine ends up being like, hey, there's a race announcement. Boom, got to put something out there because I want to talk to my friends about what's going on. And then sometimes I post just like if I've had like a bad training run, or I've had, a good training run. I've posted that too. So I try to do a post like at least 3 to 4 times a week, like a static post on my Instagram. But then as far as my stories, that I give that a little bit more of a looser structure. Like I will try to post something to engage people. Usually those come a lot closer to race time. So like when there is a race registration, if there is an active race that's going on and I know that my friends are there and I kind of want to see where they are, who's doing that. So I'm a little more active during those times, but it's not like I have a set content schedule. I know a lot of people do, but mine is just really more, it's kind of a mix of whenever the mood strikes slash what's the Run Disney calendar putting out.
How do you decide if it's content that's appropriate for a post versus a story?
A lot of times my stories are I'm asking questions. For example, like Princess Weekend is a great example of it, because I had stayed at Coronado for 3 out of the 4 race weekends last race season. And as much as I love Coronado for race weekend, I wanted to do something different. So I knew that I wanted to do a story because I wanted engagement, to be like, hey, I'm going to put up this poll box here. Where would you stay if you were going? And I actually ended up getting a lot of interaction with that, because people, my Run Disney friends, have stayed at all these different resorts, and I got a lot of the highs and the lows of where they like, which that's not going to work on a post, right? But then with a post, to be completely honest, when I post on my actual feed, I think, okay, what is something that if I did a chapbook and I wanted to print out these memories, what do I want to live forever? So the things that I post on my actual profile are the pictures that I want to look back and see what I was doing at that point in time.
How much would you say, give me a percentage, how much would you say of Katie is in your content?
Like 95%. I mean, yeah. I will say this, like, I am very honest with what I post. Like, you obviously, when you peek behind the curtain, there's always stuff that people aren't going to post on social media, right? Because it's not all happy, shiny content. But I am also one who, if I see a story about grief, or I see something about, dealing with anxiety, that is something that I have dealt with, I have no qualms about throwing that up there, because if it helped me, it might help somebody else. And honestly, that is how I made those friends who had also gone through some trauma like I had gone through, because I was kind of authentically myself with what I posted. So you're not going to post every terrible thing that happened, but I would say about 95% is my true thing. Now, I don't talk about politics. That is one thing I will not, and will never post about politics on my Instagram. I love politics, but it has its place. So I think I still feel good about 95%.
Is there a tone that you target or shoot for in your content, or do you really truly just let your personality or your mood kind of drive whatever you want to get across?
Yeah, I'm definitely personality mood drives what I want to get across. It's not like I'm trying to have a certain tone. I do try to edit some of my like controversial opinions, because I never want anything that I post to alienate somebody. And it's not really, some people say, I don't want to post that because I'll lose followers, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that. I just never want something that I post to hurt somebody's feelings or to make them feel less than. I do edit some of like my political thoughts or, some of those types of things, but I don't post about it because I don't want anyone to ever get hurt by something that I've posted.
So along those same lines, how sure are you when you press that publish button on some of those posts? Have you had second thoughts before? Have you had situations where you posted something and literally 5 seconds later you said, I think I'm going to delete that?
Oh, I have. No, I really have. Okay. There were a couple of times when something was put out in the world and I posted something and I was like, no, you got to take that down.
Have you had to deal with criticism? Has it kind of impacted how you think about what you're posting?
Yeah, so not necessarily criticism from like the Run Disney community or even the theme park community, but I've gotten criticism from people who are not part of the theme park community, who are like, she's going to Disney again. She's going to she's going to Run Disney again. Can you believe she's late in her 30s and wearing a costume while she runs? So I have gotten some negativity from that. And I think 10 years ago, that would have really bothered me, because when you're in your 20s and you're still trying to figure out who you are, that would have really concerned me. But I turned 39 about 4 weeks ago. And when you get to this age, you find your people and you stick with those people. And anybody who doesn't understand, they don't really they don't serve a purpose in your life. And when it comes to posting me dressed as Queen Anna during a 5K, I'm sure that there are people out there who have rolled their eyes at me for doing that. But I'm, number one, not hurting anyone, and two, it makes my heart happy. So I don't see a problem with it.
What do you like to do to keep your content fresh and engaging?
Well, I really stick with all of the Disney news that's coming out. And so, like, when the dining plan came back out a couple weeks ago, I posted about if I was going to get the dining plan at the next Run Disney race weekend, So I'm really I really stick with that kind of stuff. And not necessarily because I'm trying to create content, but just because knowing the latest news makes me happy. And so when I see that kind of stuff, I'll throw it up there because why not? And I don't really second guess too much what I post on my stories. So when something comes out like that, I will find a picture and make it work.
So I know I struggle a lot with trying to make sure the pictures, the reels I post are just super, super high quality and almost to my detriment sometimes. Is that something you deal with?
The quality of the picture to me is not as important as the quality of the comment or the caption. So I am a very wordy person. I love words. I love stringing words together. I would love to have been a writer at some point, but I will twice check, triple check, quadruple check my caption and then add an emoji and take an emoji away just till I get it how I like it.
At this point, do you feel like you know your audience? Feel like you have a pretty good grasp of who you're talking to?
Yeah, I think so. Because if you go back and look at my old post, it's just random stuff. But I know now, and it's also, I know who I want to see content of. So it's kind of a mutual beneficial relationship. I'm making these friendships. It's not necessarily, I don't look at it as an audience. I'm like, what do my friends want to see? What do these other people in the Run Disney community want to see? I know when I go for a race weekend, I want to see people's costumes, people's race, their finish line pictures, what they got what people got at the expo. I love a merch haul, let me tell you. So I know what I want to see and I know what I want to see during people's training cycles. So I guess don't feel as nervous posting that because I want to post what I want to see.
What is your most popular content?
So right now, my most popular post on my feed is a picture from me finishing Springtime Surprise this year. So I had a really difficult Run Disney 2022-2023 season. My mom got into an accident during Wine and Dine. I got sick during the marathon weekend, and then I also got sick during marathon weekend, and my mom also fell during Princess. So I had 3 really bad race weekends, and so at the finish line of Springtime Surprise, the announcers were like putting the microphone in people's faces, and were like, "Tell us your Run Disney story." And so I told them my Run Disney story. And then when I posted my picture at the finish line that the PhotoPass photographers had taken, I posted that with a caption of, "This is what the Run Disney season has meant to me." And that's currently my post with the most likes and most engagement. And I think it's honestly because I shared my story throughout the entire season. And so that kind of let people see, hey, we finally did this.
Well, yeah, but that's cool though, right? That your most popular content is the kind of the core of what your brand is about, as it should be, right? So I think that's great.
I'm honest. Like I was very honest with people. Like nobody wants to say, "Hey, I spent the morning of the Princess 10K laying on the floor at Coronado, wishing that the God above would take me away." But I posted, "Hey, I'm not at the 10K this morning because I have been hit with some sort of virus." And also I posted on my feed about how sad I was because that was my favorite weekend of the whole year. And the whole weekend was just ruined after that. So I let people in on my journey. And so that's why the post was probably my most popular post because I didn't hide anything. I shared the good, the bad, and the ugly of how that season went.
Yeah, I love that. What kind of tools do you use around content creation?
So the first app that I use that I check every single day, it's just an app that's called Followers. It's just plain Followers, but it is an Instagram kind of analytics app that lets me see who new followers are, who has quit following me. It also helps me see the more authentic people that follow you versus the bots that sometimes follow you or the Amazon resellers that will send you messages and want to know if you will come join their brand. followers is probably the one that I check most. It also will tell me like my story views and things like that. It'll also, when people unfollow me for whatever reason, allow me to unfollow them, because I would be considered a petty Betty. And if you unfollow me, I'll probably unfollow you. I
Now,
also,
is that a
yes,
paid app, or is it a
I do
free?
pay a yearly fee. So I think it's like $10 a year. It re-ups every October. It's not expensive, but it allows me to kind of see those tools.
Okay.
As far as like creating my stories, I do use Pick Collage, and it's a basic app that's not anything super big, but like I do like to post collages when I'm asking picture or like asking opinions. So like, hey, which resort do you like better, this one or this one? Those are the main ones. I don't do a whole lot of picture editing that a lot of people do, just because that takes up too much time. And I don't use a whole lot of filters, because I am who I am, and you like it or you don't. So basically those are the two behind the scenes apps that I use to kind of keep my content.
Yep. Cool. So tell us some of the ways you promote Fairy God Katie. Do you use ads on Instagram? What do you do?
Yeah, I did run an ad. I used to do the travel thing on the regular and stuff. And so I did some ads then, back when I first began, and nothing really came of it. I just got a whole lot of people from, like I said, the bots that would reach out to you. And so I never did anything paid. Now, like I said, I think that it's helped because when I go to Run Disney weekends and you meet friends of friends, I can throw out, hey, follow me on FairyGodKatie, and then I'll follow them back. So me having the name FairyGodKatie has actually helped me be able to quickly say, hey, follow me. And then I've made friends that way because I've reciprocated.
Let's go back for just a second to talk about goals. So we know what the goal was when you first started, engagement. Is that still the same goal today for you?
I still am following people and trying to get new people to learn more. To be completely honest, I still, on a daily basis, find new segments of the Run Disney community that I didn't know exist. So it's still, the goal is building relationships. For me personally, it's building relationships and also being part of that community. I use the example of, there is a skirt company, right, that I absolutely love. Then, and again, you do the costume thing with Run Disney and all of that. I would never have heard of this particular company if it hadn't been for one of the bigger Run Disney accounts that had posted about it. So I follow it. Well, now I'm one of her, top fans because I love her stuff. So I really am just trying to, I guess I don't want to say gain more followers, because my goal is not really to gain more followers. It's really to gain more relationships and to
Yeah.
further put myself in the community.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It sounds like for you, it's all about just going further and becoming more involved in that community, and even to the point of maybe becoming a voice in that subset of the theme park community, the Run Disney community.
Yeah,
Is
like
that a
there's
fair
just
statement?
something, yeah, there's something really special about going to the expo and running into people that you've met and talked to online.
So is that the rewarding part? Is that
Yes,
where?
yes, live time, meeting those people that you followed. One of my best friends, one of my best friends, like, do life with this person now. She was someone who I followed her blog back in 2013 and has now transitioned over into the Instagram world, and we became, real life friends. And she is literally somebody who was at my dad's funeral when all that happened, because of the Run Disney community.
So let's zoom out for just a second. I want to get your thoughts just on the theme park community as a whole and kind of the state of that community.
Yeah, so I like getting my news more from some of the smaller accounts more than I do some of the bigger accounts. There's a lot of clickbait out there, and a lot of, there's a lot of posts that are framed differently than what the real message is. I mean, some of the bigger outlets. I really love getting my information from some of the smaller creators. Like, I love Living by Disney, because I feel like you get a really authentic spin on what's going on. Like, she will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, but it's in a very pleasant way, but it's more truth based, I think, than some of like the quote unquote news outlets. I love that in this really kind of crazy theme park community genre, you have these little subsets. Like I'm in Run Disney, but like I just left Dollywood a couple days ago, and there's this whole roller coaster community that I did not know a whole lot about that were there for CoasterCon. That's a whole different segment of the theme park world. And I love that there are so many different segments within this genre of theme park. And you just kind of have to figure out where yours is and find your people.
Yeah. I'm interested to know how you feel social media has changed the way theme parks are marketed.
Like I look at Disney and you have true 100% Disney influencers, right? Like that is their brand, is they are Universal Orlando based, right? They're going to go to Universal, they're going to go to Disney, they're going to hit the SeaWorld. That's their thing. There are other theme parks that are trying to do that, but they're just not quite there yet, because the theme park genre is more of a lifestyle more than like Six Flags Great America influencer. You don't have those as much. So I think some theme parks have a longer ways to go before they hit that whole lifestyle that Disney definitely has. Like I don't know a whole lot about Carowinds. I haven't been to Carowinds, but they have this Christmas festival that I really would like to go see. And they've done a decent job of showing someone like me who does love Disney at Christmas, who loves Dollywood at Christmas, hey, we've got this event, we'd like for you to come, but you don't see as many influencers going to it. So I don't know. I think some theme parks, they're trying to do these new things to get people to come, right? And have people who are creators to make that content. So it'll be interesting to see where some of those smaller parks are in a couple of years.
Being involved in the theme park community for a number of years now, how has that changed your perspective or the way you visit theme parks?
Yeah, I definitely know that there are some people that go and all they're doing is taking pictures all day long. And that's just kind of not who I am. Mine's a little more, hey, I took this picture, it took 5 seconds to take it, then we're moving on. I'm a single girl who, sometimes I'm going to theme parks by myself. So I'm not going to have the photo shoot where somebody is taking my picture in front of the purple wall for 30 minutes until I get a perfect shot. So I do think that my perspective has changed because I do want good pictures. But in another way, I feel like I'm still kind of the same Katie that I was 10 years ago, where it's like, okay, this is fun, but I got a show that's starting in 10 minutes. I got to get this going. I got to hurry.
So I know I do. Do you feel that pressure to get the content you need when you're at a theme park, maybe even at the expense of just enjoying the experience?
Yeah, I mean, there is a part of me that every time I ride Frozen Ever After, I feel like I got to get the perfect shot when the boat pushes back from Elsa. Why I do that, I don't know. The video is always terrible. I never end up posting it, but I always feel like I have to take that shot.
So let's kind of wrap up this segment. What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions from from outside about the theme park community? Things that you hear.
That I absolutely hate the term Disney adult because I feel like there's such a negative connotation. People who don't want to grow up, people who, are kind of silly and goofy and just always go to the same place on vacation. I hate that. I feel like there's a lot more to those people. Yes, I love theme parks, but I also feel like there's a lot more to me as well. I am a daughter who takes care of her mother, and I love sharing my love of theme parks with those 4 kids, well now 5, I forgot Grady's been born, but with those 5 kids who call me FairyGodKatie. There's a lot more to people than just all they do is go to theme parks all the time. And I think that's a very common misconception.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, on one hand, there's, we do just as people kind of look for ways to put people in buckets, right? Just so we can kind of make sense of everything. But at the same time, you also have to understand you're just getting snapshots of real people, right? So,
well, and I think that's where we get that misconception of, they're just a Disney adult. And like I said, that really in my 30s, I've kind of said, hey, I'm going to be who I want to be, and I don't care what other people think. But that does still irritate me.
So what's next for FairyGodKatie?
As far as my content, I'm just going to continue being me and I really hope that I can make some new friends and that when I do go to Princess next year, I'll be able to see even more people that I've connected with on the gram, as they call it.
So at the end of the day, when people interact with your brand, with FairyGodKatie, what do you want the takeaway to be?
I hope they take away that she's always trying to better herself athletically, even though she's not an athlete. That she's always trying to bring a little positivity, even on the days when she's not feeling super positive. And that she's someone that you want to be a friend to because she wants to be your friend back.
And finally, what advice do you have for someone wanting to build their own brand in the theme park community?
I think the biggest thing I can tell you is to be authentically yourself. People already have a Once Upon a Marathon, and people already have a Dallas food chick who's awesome. She's another account that I just love to follow, learning about her runDisney tips. They already have that. So be yourself, show your journey, show the good runs, show the bad runs, and don't be afraid to just post. Just post what you feel like posting.
Katie, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sharing this experience, this insight with us. It's been great. Again, just thanks for being here today, and we wish you all the best going forward.
Thanks, and hey, let me know if you want to run a runDisney race. They're super fun.
Listeners, we want you to be part of this conversation too. If you have any questions about brand building in the theme park community, send them to me, and I'll try to include them in upcoming interviews. As always, you can contact me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at nextstopaaron. Also, check out our blog at nextstopaaron.com. So I hope you enjoyed our interview with Katie. I know I certainly did. And I hope one of your takeaways regarding brand building is that it doesn't have to necessarily be about metrics and numbers and followers. It can be about building relationships within a community and making that community and yourself better for it. So stay tuned. We've got a lot of great guests coming up in future episodes. These are people I really enjoy their content, and I think you'll learn a lot hearing them talk about how they built their brand and how that can help you along to do the same.